Welcome to the Old Doctor Who Show. This is episode 2, January 2015, The Mind Robber.
Go forward in all your beliefs and prove to me that I am not mistaken in mine.
You couldn't control my mind before, and you certainly can't control it now.
Would you like a jelly, Toby?
The TARDIS, when working properly, is capable of many amazing things.
Reverse the polarity of the neutron flows, and the TARDIS will be free of the force field.
Well, the TARDIS is more than a machine. It's unity, but a person, you see.
The resulting reaction is Friday. Are you ready?
Hello, welcome back to the Old Doctor Who Show. I'm your co-host, Eric Grissom.
And I'm the other co-host, Dan Johnson.
And we are wonderful people.
God, aren't we?
So, we're back with our second episode, and how you doing? How was your week, Dan?
My week was pretty good. Things were great.
Yeah.
I had lots of Who to watch, so that made things pretty good.
You did. And also, as people who have subscribed may have heard, we changed up the format a bit. We originally started, we were just going to do all Netflix shows, and then there was a bit of news that maybe Doctor Who was going to be leaving Netflix.
Yeah.
Yep. And then we did a little mini-sode, so this may be repeated information for some people. But as of today, this is hot off the Internet Variety website. But it's not going anywhere. So Doctor Who, Luther, and more, I think BBC shows are staying. Some are leaving, like if you're a fan of Red Dwarf. Red Dwarf, guys, I think that's going away. Classic Doctor Who and a new Doctor Who. A bunch of shows are staying. You could check it out. But yeah,
you should just listen to our BBC America podcast that we're about to start.
Yes. We're going to do the new way. I mean, I think we should do the Hulu Plus and the Amazon because there's too many good episodes.
Yeah, so if you go to the olddoctorwhoshow.com /news, you'll see our new schedule there. What we have is a list of the episodes we're going to do. Roughly the order that we're going to do them in. We're going to have to backtrack a little bit because now that we're going to have Hulu Plus, Netflix, and Amazon Prime streaming, we can go back and do the very first episode. We can do Unearthly Child, which we will be releasing to you guys shortly.
Yes.
So on that list, you'll see which episodes we're doing and also which services have those episodes. So if you have access to any or all of those, you can follow right along with us.
Yeah, it's very easy. We make it easy. We're like the easy making podcast.
Yeah.
Do we want to talk about the Christmas special?
Yeah, we can bring it up as we go. I mean,
I think it's important because there's a lot of parallels, I think, to the Mind Robber.
Yeah, they have a lot of a similar feel, just like your theory that a lot of Moffat stories have a similar feel to classic Who.
There's even and then we're going to cover obviously the Mind Robber in the show.
Yep.
But there's actually even one scene where the Doctor is telling Clara to do math problems in her head to keep. I don't even remember the show. It's basically Alien. And that's the one thing. Like, everybody's borrowing from everybody, but sometimes, like, if you literally take something from something and then you say, "Yeah, we know that's from Alien," you're still like taking it from Alien.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well,
like, does that?
It's the difference between a thief and an honest thief.
Yeah, I guess you're leaving your knife. It's fine.
Yeah.
But
anyway.
To be very brief, because I don't want to cover it too much. Did you like it?
Yeah, the Christmas episode, I thought it was great.
Yeah.
We've talked about on the previous show that we did that I have kind of an ambivalent feeling towards the new Doctor and this whole season as a whole. But I thought this was one of the strongest episodes of the entire season, which is strange because the Christmas episodes of the reboot show have typically been some of the weakest episodes. At least in general. That's what most people think. I think they've all been pretty good. But this was, I think, the strongest Christmas episode and one of the strongest of the season. So I loved it.
And definitely a lot of themes of, people are like, it's Inception and Alien and all, but it's definitely the Mind Robber. I mean, there's scenes in the Mind Robber where they think they've come out of what they think was a dream or some kind of alternate reality, and then it turns out that is also not a reality. When they showed her, and again, huge spoilers, but as an old woman at the end.
It was amazing.
And then she told him how she had her own life, and she did all these wonderful things without him. I was like, that's amazing. That's great.
Terrific ending for her.
I wish that was the ending.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's go on to
The Mind Robber.
Ready?
Yeah, sure.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Jamie? Zoe?
Jamie, Zoe, concentrate only on my words. Think of me. Think of the TARDIS. They are the only real things here. Everything else is unreality. It is only in your minds. Now concentrate. Come to me now. Now. Walk straight to the TARDIS. Don't stop. Come on. Walk into the TARDIS. Come on. Don't look behind you. Now go in. Go in. Jamie! Zoe! Go in before it's too late!
All right, here we are. We're back. We're back in the saddle, in the Doctor Who classic Doctor Who reviewing saddle. I had mine bedazzled, and it has my initials on it.
Mine's still in the shop, so
yeah. It says ESG is the place to be, and it has an arrow pointing to where I sit in Fake Diamonds. We're covering The Mind Robber. This is the second serial from season 6, 1968. This is the first time that Dan and I are actually seeing Patrick Troughton, the second Doctor. This episode actually has two writers, which I thought was interesting. It's Peter Ling is the credited writer, but also I saw Derek Sherwin is listed as the first episode because apparently the preceding serial, I don't know if it's a preceding serial or one of the preceding serials, was 5 episodes and they reduced it to 4. So they had to tack on another episode to this. So this was originally a 4-episode show. They added a 5th episode. That's sort of why it's a little bit different than the rest. And we'll get into that.
So are you saying that the original the story right before this one leading in got chopped up?
Yeah, I think it was the one right before leading in, or maybe 2 before. But when they were doing the schedule, they had all this extra time, so they ended up adding a whole episode. That's why it's a 5-episode show, and all the episodes are very short. I think the shortest one is like 18 minutes.
Yeah, this was very strange. It kind of flies through because you see you have there's 5 episodes in this story, and it flew right through. Well, that's interesting because it explains. Well, not only is this the first time we're seeing the second Doctor, we're now seeing his 2 new companions, or new to us companions. We have Jamie, who is a Scottish Highlander, and Zoe, who is
a teenage astrophysicist from a flying space wheel.
Yes, she is.
And she can beat up superheroes.
Oh, she's pretty
amazing.
She's
absolutely my favorite. And she's got that awesome
we'll get to
outfit.
It. We'll get to it. But what I think is interesting is, so we're seeing these three for the first time, but we kind of just jump into this story. So I was wondering, is this it's a
direct continuation.
Right, but is this a feature of Classic Who, where you're kind of sort of just picking up right where you left off, whereas the newer Who's, the current Who, they pretty much stand alone. The story arcs will pick up. You'll get threads from other stories, but you're never really starting from where the last one kind of stopped. This one, Zoe is all covered in dirt, presumably from the previous episode or from wrestling with Jamie. We're not sure because you don't see that part.
Very quick synopsis. So this episode starts, they're about to be destroyed by lava, and the Doctor actually takes the TARDIS outside of reality.
Let's just back up.
We go into the void.
Okay. There's no reason to rush past this. Let's talk about the lava, which I think is made out of beer. It's made out of beer suds. I think it's pretty much beer.
Obviously, you're not a scientist. Lava is very dangerous, Dan.
I think it was mostly beer suds. So the Doctor's dry now, so he was really kind of worried that he was going to lose his chip.
Yeah.
So they're getting you see the TARDIS. Actually, I thought the shot looked great, and this is a feature of it being shot in black and white. You can probably get away with a lot more in terms of special effects. It looked pretty good, especially the little miniature of the TARDIS getting covered in the beer suds, lava. It looked really, really good. But what I thought was really interesting here, too, is because we're just seeing the second Doctor now and getting a sense of what his personality is like. He is much less in control of the situation, in such a charming way. I really like this Doctor a lot.
He does get, I liked him too, but he does get a little whiny where he's like, oh, that's not right. Why is that doing this? Oh, what are we doing, Doctor? I don't know.
Yeah.
And I've since then seen another one of his episodes, and this is, I think, at his height of that.
Yeah.
He doesn't seem to be, but it's definitely, you almost feel like you're unsure that he's even able to fly the machine. Like,
Right.
He has no idea really what's
Which
happening.
is pretty interesting.
But he does.
Because no one really has any control at that point then. So
Yeah. I also love that, at that part in the very beginning, Zoe, who was a great companion.
Fantastic. Actually, I think
I would
all
like
of them.
to see more of her.
The three together, the chemistry is really good. Between Jamie and Zoe, because they have scenes where it's just the two of them, the three of them together, and then individually. I mean, the Doctor has a very different relationship between him and Zoe and him and Jamie. Which is actually
And I also, what I read that was kind of weird, she's 15.
The actresses or the characters?
No. I guess the character.
Okay, because there was no way she was 15.
She was not 15, and the characters isn't 15. And from what I read, I guess they never say that. But maybe it was in the script or something. It was on like Wikipedia, whether or not who sourced that or not. But that seems a little odd because she's like this astrophysicist. You know, she can fight superheroes and stuff.
But the Doctor always does take on exceptional companions. He's not usually taking on any guy from the street. So the fact that he found this companion who is exceptional, this astrophysicist teenager,
right,
kind of makes sense.
It's very strange.
Okay.
So anyway,
Yeah. So the TARDIS is getting sucked in with beer suds. The three of them are not sure what to do. Somehow.
But they're in love with it too. Like I love that the Doctor and Zoe are like watching the beer suds come, and they're like, "This is so cool!" Like what's? And then Jamie's like, "We're all going to die."
Yeah, Jamie was a very
check it out.
very very Scottish in that way. Like,
is it the kilt?
Worst? It's the kilt. It's definitely the kilt. I will talk about the kilt for a good 10 minutes if you want me to, because But Zoe was definitely like totally entranced by this. So was the Doctor. But James was like, let's get the F out of here.
And
The TARDIS is in trouble. Somehow something has happened that the lava is overwhelming the liquid something. Word circuits. So they were in danger there. They couldn't actually move the TARDIS. So the Doctor pulls out a special emergency unit from a cabinet below the console. So tell us, Eric, what does this emergency little contraption do?
This is where we actually leave reality and we go into like the white void, where Apple computers come from, I'm guessing.
Yep.
And it's awesome because he's like, we just have to get away from reality.
Right.
All right.
So he has this emergency unit that he just snaps onto the console. And when you push it, it takes you out of the space-time stream, I think he says, and out of reality. But this unit also, like the TARDIS, is self-aware in a way. They don't really say that or get into that so much in the classic Who. But the emergency unit's limited, and will only let them stay out of reality as long as they're safe. If they're not safe, it's supposed to take them back and take them someplace else. So... After the Doctor snaps this in, he's going off to figure out what's going on. They get cleaned up from the previous episode, and Zoe comes walking in with a sequin catsuit that she proceeds to wear for the rest of the episode.
Yes, and we have to talk about that because, and actually their whole wardrobe, and let's spend a lot of time in the white world.
Okay, sure.
There's very Twin Peaksy too because there's like the white world that they're in this point, and then later on they go into a dark world.
Yeah, and then there's also that dwarf who speaks backwards, which I thought was really interesting.
Yes, that was that you had blacked out at that point. Sorry. When you woke up and you had just started playing. Right. Yeah. So anyway, they land, and as you're saying, like the Doctor's trying to fix the TARDIS, and then they're lured out with these images of what they think they want to see. Again, another thing that happens in the Christmas special where. Yep. These dreams are giving you what you think you want to see.
Yeah, though this isn't specifically dreams. The idea is very much the same. Jamie sees on the monitor, sees Scotland. Whenever he looks away, it fuzzes out again. When Zoe looks at it, she sees her planet.
How do they know that? How do they know where they're from?
Oh, this intelligence somehow knows.
Yes.
I mean, we'll
because the rest of the episode is basically fiction of the guy writing fiction that they're sort of going through. This is sort of personalized to a level.
Not sure.
So anyway, they're lured out.
The two of them
I just want to talk about and what I loved about this is the wardrobe and the minimalism of having nothing in the white. But there's a point in the first episode where they're completely white.
She's wearing this seemingly black sequin catsuit. Jamie's changed into a black like turtleneck with his kilt. So when they go into the white world, it stands out very much, and then, like Eric said, they switch. But Zoe gets lured out first. Jamie goes after her as well. The Doctor, though, is fighting a mental voice in his head the whole time. Like he's hearing a hum, and he's hearing someone trying to basically lure him out, and he's trying to psychically fight it, which I think is really interesting, because you see in Current Who that the Doctor has these abilities. Sometimes he's able to get into people's heads, or we're never really clear. It seems like it's always plot devices whether he can do these things or not. But like this instance of him having this psychic contact with an unknown presence was kind of unexpected, I thought, to me. It's like very interesting that he was able to kind of fight it off in a way that his companions couldn't.
Yeah, and I got the impression that sort of whatever this mind robber is peering into their consciousness and figuring out and showing them sort of basic imagery of this is Scotland, this is whatever, but since he's a more intelligent being, literally he can, the Force, the mind robber's going in to find those pictures of Gallifrey, and the alarm goes off, and then he starts to fight it in his seat.
So Jamie and Zoe are running around in the white world. It is just a world of nothingness. They're completely lost, can't find the TARDIS because there's no landmarks or anything, so they can't see, but they feel like they're being watched the whole time. Now, they don't notice that there's these kind of robot-y creatures watching them, so I'm not sure if it was them watching them or the mind robber that they felt was watching them. So they get surrounded by the machines and turn all white. It looked really, it was a nice visual, a great image of them in white, kind of beckoning the Doctor to come out.
Yeah, I mean, I got the impression, too, like that white world is sort of, a blank canvas, a blank white page before the writer puts the words on them and creates the world that they fall into. So it's like the baseline of creativity, of nothingness. They're in it. They get absorbed by the page. That's why their stuff turns white. And then he starts writing. And that's when, so meta, this whole episode.
Yeah.
I mean, the Doctor himself is a creation. This whole show is a creation. So it's all this multi-level sort of craziness.
Not sure if they were like under control, or actually at that point I wasn't even sure. Was the Doctor hallucinating that? It wasn't clear what was happening.
Yeah, that's an excellent question too, to get to the end. When we get to the end, was this whole thing sort of a hallucination that happens? But anyway, so if there's anything else you have on the white world, basically they're in this white thing. The Doctor lures them back into the TARDIS.
Yep.
They think everything's fine, and then they realize everything's not fine, and the TARDIS explodes.
This is a great shot. I absolutely loved the special effects for this. So yeah, the TARDIS is spinning in blackness. There's no stars or anything, so I guess they're out of reality, whatever. TARDIS is spinning in blackness, and all the walls blow off of it, leaving Zoe and Jamie hanging onto the console for dear life. And the shot of the camera makes it look like they're just kind of spinning in empty space. So it was really well done for something that was such a simple sort of effect.
Yeah, I mean that's like a great cliffhanger.
Yeah.
You don't get much better than that.
So that's the end of the first episode of this one.
Yes,
with a little mini cliffhanger until you hit play on the next episode.
Right, and then that's sort of where it makes sense when I read that bit about there being, that was the added episode, because the rest of the 4 are much more like a standard story, even though they are completely bizarre. So then they end up in this world that's dark now. We have all of these works of fiction that they're interacting with, and you start to hear rumors of a master that's controlling it. And I don't know about you, but at first I was like, oh, it's the master. It's not.
I got spoiled a little bit because I was actually, before I watched the episode, I read just a little bit, so I had an idea of the background, and it basically said, not that master. Yeah. So, yeah, it was just kind of reusing the term. But this episode kind of just jumps right in. We start off with Jamie in some glittering forest. So it's just some crazy forest with the trees with, like, glitter on them. So he's alone, though. So the TARDIS is blown up previously. The next thing you see is just Jamie on his own in the middle of some forest. He runs into some British redcoat. So I guess because Jamie's from Scotland of 1800s, whatever it is, Jamie immediately wants to go and fight this redcoat and gets stabbed on the bayonet and turns into a two-dimensional cutout. I I might say, poorly constructed and badly pasted two-dimensional cutout of himself in mid-fight. Then we see Zoe separately on her own, wandering around, and she finds a castle, walks through the door, and immediately just falls through the floor and screaming. So the two of them are in some peril. While this is all happening, we reveal that there's a series of monitors, and we see kind of the back silhouette of someone talking and kind of remarking on what's happening and kind of controlling the situation. So this is the master that we're talking about here.
Right. Yep. Yes, you get an idea that someone is sort of pulling the strings and pushing them through this world.
And he's the one that's in control of these mechanical creatures that are now out on the hunt for the Doctor.
And I can't remember offhand episode-wise, but is it the second episode that the Doctor changes Jamie into another actor?
We're gonna get there.
Because that was
I think it's
in the third episode.
It's definitely in this episode. It's definitely so.
Yeah.
So just running through the plot quickly here. The Doctor.
You're giving every point of the plot.
Well, I mean, it's kind of interesting because each of these things that happen, the Doctor runs into some English sailor from the 1600s who speaks in a really weird, stilted way, and I wasn't sure if it was like, oh, it's just British acting in the 60s or what's happening here. But he runs to this guy.
Who later then we realize is Gulliver from, Gulliver's Travels.
Then the Doctor's confronted by a bunch of school children who are asking him riddles. Kind of like, children's school riddles, some of them that you may have heard, some of them are obviously pretty common around that time. And he passes their test, and the final test they're asking is leads him to the realization that this is all wordplay, that everything around him is based on words. So this is when the Doctor then finally runs into Cardboard Jamie, and he's given a task out of nowhere where he basically has to reconstruct Jamie's face. So the face on the cardboard cutout has been removed, so you have a blank spot there, and then on this easel a series of eyes, a series of noses, and a series of mouths, and he puts them together.
Right,
and now it's a different actor.
And it's the wrong order. Because
it's the wrong order.
It's great because from a story level, it clearly shows that he doesn't really know these people. I mean, he's so sort of narcissistic in his own way that these people are not really that necessary, where he couldn't really remember. And plus, and
he did it with confidence, too. Oh, that's definitely his eyes.
Right.
Oh, you couldn't miss that nose.
Yeah. It was a great little characterization of him. And then I had found out, too, they did it because the actor had chickenpox. So it was like sort of reality dictating the story. I mean, that was all added because the actor couldn't do it, and you're not going to stop shooting.
I had no idea. But it's
perfect.
It worked.
Yeah,
it worked so well that it didn't.
Perfect.
I'm so glad that he came down with chickenpox, because that the actor himself was okay. He was fine. He wasn't great. No, I mean, even having only seen Jamie for maybe 20 minutes beforehand.
Like a Stones cover band or something. They're bringing that dude in. He was great. Here's a good spot to introduce another clip from the episode. This is the new Jamie, Zoe and the Doctor talking about the situation.
Another test.
But it was alive. We all saw it.
It was terrifying.
He challenged us to believe in it.
Who? The Master?
Whoever it is who's setting up all these conjuring tricks.
But I don't understand.
Well, the unicorn appeared to be real until you said it wasn't. Then we were safe.
But we believed in it, Jamie and I.
Yes, that was just the danger. Your belief was affecting me.
Who would think up a crazy notion like this?
I don't know. Fantastic mind.
So what you realize is, these tests that are happening are these works of fiction that are now interacting with the Doctor and the companions. Like you mentioned before, we have Gulliver, and they're unaware of some of the stuff going on. Like Gulliver cannot see the robot army that's coming, or the wind-up army and everything else, and you start to realize that they are in fact not real.
Right. I mean, you're starting to get those clues because, like I said, the Doctor has this test from these kids that lead him to realize that it's wordplay that's happening. Jamie decides to try to climb the trees to get a better view around, and when he gets to the top of the trees, realizes that all the trees are basically forming out words.
Yes,
so
trees definitely in quotes, and you're like,
yeah.
And it's just like the White Room in episode 1. It's such a great use of a low budget Because you see them and they're like, we're in trees, and before you get the perspective that these are in fact words, you're like, these are terrible looking trees.
Horrible.
They're horrible looking trees. But it all makes sense within the narrative once you get that perspective of the words, and then it's this whole other, this is just.
It's
such
also
an
nice
amazing
because
episode.
the words themselves aren't just like random words; they're sayings. They're common sayings that people will be familiar with. So it's not this. It kind of ties into the fact that it's reusing things that occur in the human civilization. It's not wholly new fiction. It's just things that had already existed. Like Gulliver is not an original creation. It's borrowing it from human storytelling, and Rapunzel that comes up later, and all these are just borrowed things because this intelligence can't make its own.
Oh, hold on. I also want to say that this is the first time, we talked about last week about when they got rid of the individual titles per episode. And this one goes to episode 1, episode 2, episode 3. But I thought it was super cool, and they didn't really do it in the later episodes. But when they put episode 1 on the monitor,
I thought that was great.
That was great.
I really thought they were going to carry that through.
There were so many really well directed bits and shot bits and really cool stuff, like the shallow focus shot with the spider web, where it's focused on the spider web and they're entering the caverns where the Minotaur is, and then it focuses on them.
Yeah, some of these felt like very modern techniques. They would still feel current if you had seen them now, by putting the titles inside the monitor. Like, if they had carried that out, I don't know what else they could have done, spelled out the episode in trees. I don't know what they would have done with the other ones, but it was pretty cool. Now they're being pursued by these wind-up-looking toy soldiers, and then they see a unicorn come charging at them from this blackness. You just see this white horse unicorn come charging at them. Which, did Jamie had dreamt about that previously?
He had seen it, and
before they get lured out into the white world, when they're feeling that buzz and something kind of probing their mind, he kind of has a dream of a unicorn. Now all three of them are seeing it, and it comes charging at them. And fade to black.
Now, do you think that unicorn was part of his natural dream, and the presence, the computer behind the master, took it out of his brain and used it to populate this world? In the same way that they went into their head and they got Zoe's home city and they got Scotland and he populated the monitor, as opposed to being written by the master.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think the unicorn was also from Jamie's brain brought into this world. But in this case, they can all see them. This is the first time that they all see it. Zoe saw her city in the white world when she was out there, but Jamie did not. Now they're all seeing this unicorn come charging at them. And as we all know, unicorns are bloodthirsty monsters.
I'm going to watch Legend a whole different way. So anyway, it's at that point, too, that they realize that these things aren't real. And once they confront the unreality of these creatures, they then turn into two-dimensional things, which is just like paper in a book, guys. A giant book that you may get crushed in later on. And that becomes sort of how they overcome the rest of the obstacles, just about the rest of the obstacles throughout the episode. They have to realize they're not real, confront their unreality, and then they move past it.
At this point, the master of the controlling force sets up that puzzle again with Jamie as a two-dimensional creature, and the doctor has to rearrange his face again. This time he knows
right.
which nose is
Zoe.
which nose. Puts them together.
Because Zoe is there to
That's
correct
right.
them.
Yeah, that's right. So maybe his hubris is more on display again. So he puts it back together.
Yes, and it's also and it plays up to that awesome sort of trait of this sort of doctor as sort of being, not quite all there in certain aspects. He's very quirky and befuddled.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So they put it back together again. So now we get our Jamie back again, the one we've grown so attached to over the past 20 minutes.
Oh, I can't. Thank you, Jamie, for coming back.
Yeah, and then we get a nice reverse shot again of this silhouetted figure who's controlling everything, and it looks like he's wearing a sequin yarmulke. So it was very interesting.
Can we talk? I know we're not supposed to. I want to jump
ahead.
around, but in episode that, speaking of the master, so we see this master guy eventually, and as I'm watching it, I think it's in episode 4. He's got like this white stuff. Did you notice that? It's white stuff near his mouth. And I'm thinking, this is horrible. And then I'm feeling like a jerk. I'm like, what if he's got like some kind of mouth illness or something? And here I am, this small person, like going like, I can't look at this mouth thing. But then it's gone in episode 5. And you're like, it's just some kind of powdered donut or something that the guy had ate. So it was like this, like nobody noticed that. Like you couldn't have and it's pretty prominent and and then it's gone. So I thought that stood out for me as being pretty sweet.
Did it not have any symbolism or anything? You don't think it was intentional?
No, I don't think that. I think it was just what he happened to be eating, which may have been delicious. So then they go through some. I mean, do you have anything you want to? I mean, they go through the Minotaur,
right?
And
so then we start seeing
you meet Rapunzel
some more things from Legend.
Yes.
So now it's becoming very obvious what's going on. There's this.
And a very cool Ray Harryhausen like Medusa was pretty.
I thought that was
rad.
awesome. What was really good was the close up of the snakes, and they were doing the stop motion for that. Looked amazing. Yeah. What didn't look so great was when they pulled back and showed like the full actor in costume. It was not convincing at all. But that was close up. So some of the special effects in these early episodes are really, really well done. It looked great. Yeah.
And then, so they get past all these obstacles. Eventually, you realize, yes, this is in fact a writer that's been trapped by also like a master computer that's controlling him. He's populating the world. He's getting old. He needs to replace himself with the Doctor. So they're running the Doctor through all these tests, and the idea is he will assume, the role of the writer, and the writer will be retired or whatever's going to happen to the writer. One interesting thing, too, about the writer is I guess he's a real person. That wrote stories about Captain Jack Harkaway, which similar to Captain Jack Harkness. You fans of the newer series will probably want to take note.
So this character,
but I thought that was
cool.
Is
an actual.
Yes.
Now, I didn't know this. But they do describe who he is in the episode.
Okay, so this episode is very interesting for me. Is also the companions are the one that really saved the day. The Doctor. The machine decides that if the Doctor is not going to be the new writer, he will be destroyed. So they hook him up to this machine, and he starts fighting the machine with his own brain, and it almost becomes like a Pokemon type situation where one fictional character is fighting another fictional character, or a Mortal Kombat, or whatever. You're taking two things and fighting them against each other. I could be hard and edgy too, Dan. It doesn't have to be Pokemon. Meanwhile, this is also like if fans of the show will notice that there's a sound clip from this episode is in our opening. Whatever, doesn't matter. So anyway, the companions start hitting the buttons and they blow up the mother computer, but it's really them that save the Doctor.
Yeah, I mean, after kind of the traditional, this master guy has cornered Jamie and Zoe, and they get trapped into a book. So at that point, now they're kind of fictional characters, and they're in control. Yeah. They're being controlled as well, and they're only able to say whatever this master has written for them. So. They're kind of the coercion to get the Doctor to agree to do this, which he fights. He actually he doesn't submit to that pressure, and instead is able to actually kind of fight back with the Master with this mind control thing. So they're battling wits. I put wits in quotes because it was not the best kind of writing for either of them.
Oh wait, we totally missed out on the superhero character from Zoe's time. What was that guy's name? Like the Kraken or the Carcass?
Not Carcass, but although he looked like a friggin' cadaver. He looked like a cadaver.
He looked like he was a reanimated dead person.
Yeah, so Zoe,
Carcass,
even from...
Which is like the name of my metal band. Go on, yes.
Sorry, I stepped on that. That's amazing. Your metal band is going to play the outro of this episode. So not only are they stealing things from human civilization, but Zoe's civilization as well. So presumably any humanoid, I guess they actually kind of say that, humanoid creatures are the ones that have creative ability which is why this intelligence needs them. Right. So this Carcass is this strongman superhero with a molecular ray gun.
Yeah, and he's awesome because he's super strong. He's got this dumb ray gun, and then at one point, Zoe just does some kind of kung fu backflip, knocks him right out, right down, and he's like, "All right, you bested me. I'll do whatever you say."
Yeah, totally.
Like, all right, that's
I'm assuming that's canon for that comic strip that he belongs to. If you ever beat the Carcass, he's now your slave.
They wrote it down. That's the law, man. I can't do anything about it. Yeah. The life is hard for the carcass.
It ain't easy.
It really isn't. Yeah.
Well, he's also got this really severe German accent. I'm not sure what's
what
happening there. It
accent
was
that was
really.
from.
Anyway, so the Doctor and this Master are battling wits back and forth. They're fighting each other, and Zoe and Jamie push buttons on the machine until it blows up.
They do, and that's usually the way to do it. And they overload the machine, and then it sort of just like everything just goes back to normal. They unhook the writer from his hookup.
Yep.
He has no recollection of anything that happened. They still know what happened,
Right.
presumably. And then all of a sudden, the TARDIS reforms, and they're back in the TARDIS.
Yeah.
Back in out of reality, or back in reality.
I don't even think that we know that. We see that the TARDIS reconstructs again, but it's still floating in the middle of blackness, and then it's cut to black for that episode. So, and then, that Amazon doesn't actually have the next episode, and I actually don't think Hulu has the immediately following episode either. So, it's not clear. Are they back in reality, or are still stuck in out of reality?
Yeah, I got the impression everything was fine.
Yeah.
It was like one of those things where the next episode is going to be different. But just looking it up super quick, like the invasion is the next episode, and it's one of those ones that are missing.
Yeah.
So it's the partly missing third serial. It says that the TARDIS lands on the moon.
Oh, there you go then.
Or something. So I think they are back in reality. But it was like one of those episodes where it's like, yeah, everything's fine. Like everything got wrapped up. Like who was the computer? Who put the computer there? Like what was the computer's real purpose other than to populate unreality?
Just
right.
Floating out in unreality somewhere. It's a massive machine.
I just want to see more Zoe episodes. One of my dreams is to write a Doctor Who comic one day, and I would like to do a Zoe comic. So Titan can call me. And we can make that happen. Give me a ring. Hey, did you listen to the podcast and did you hear about how I was wanted to do that Zoe comic?
You're hired.
You're
hired.
Thanks, man. What else you got? I mean, I think we pretty much we covered that episode pretty thoroughly.
Super thoroughly.
I mean, I think we both really liked it.
I thought it was great. I really, really enjoy this Doctor. Like I said, I like these companions a lot. They both had very, very strong sort of points of view and interactions with each other. The Doctor was kind of protective of Zoe, where he was kind of more chummy in a way with Jamie. But the three of them just had a really, really cool chemistry. So yeah, I'd love to see more episodes with them.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I think this is it for us for that grouping. Mm-hmm. I have seen a little bit of Tomb of the Cybermen already, which is the next second Doctor story we're going to talk about, and it's a different companion set. Jamie, I think, is still in it, but it's another woman. I don't remember her name. So this is it for Zoe. I think the only other episode is there the Space Wheel one available?
I don't know.
I don't think so because it's not on our list.
That one.
Yeah.
But no, she was great.
So,
she was a
really,
really cool companion. You kind of setting the template for these really kind of, for the most part, really independent, at least in terms of the way that she's able to think through problems and solve problems. And she was actually, kind of kicking ass as well. That template for the companion kind of holds true.
Good episode. Yeah. And I think I think of the whole thing, the first one was definitely my favorite.
Yes.
Just because it was so like crazy and just out there and just that white space, and it was just I love that episode. I think the rest was also very good, really, but that was definitely the highlight.
But really well shot and really well acted. Everything about that was just, it felt completely different than anything else we've seen from the rest of the episode or other classic.
All right, I would definitely recommend this for people. At this point, no, because we just pretty much ruined everything about it. You messed up. If you got this far in the podcast, you're like, I don't know if I should really watch this episode or not.
You should watch it. It's good. It's really good.
Good stuff. Anything else? I think we did it. And next week, or not next week, next episode. I mean, I said this last week. We're going to try to do it every 3 weeks. Maybe we could do it more. We'll see. But the next one we are doing is An Unearthly Child, which you can find on Hulu Plus. It's on Amazon Prime. It's not on Netflix.
It is not on Netflix.
Yeah, is it on Amazon Prime? Maybe not. Maybe it's not.
I don't know. Actually,
it may
I
not
watched
be
it on a Hulu.
Yeah,
so it's definitely there.
Yeah, it's definitely Hulu. I think it is not on Amazon. I ended up buying it on iTunes. You can buy it on iTunes. And if you go to YouTube, you could probably find it. I think people.
I'm not going to point you to any links.
That's totally. Yeah, I think that's safe. You can go to YouTube, people.
Yeah.
Or you could buy it. It's
Awesome.
it's like $7, I think, on iTunes.
And little preview of it, just the fact it's really good, especially the first episode.
The first episode is good.
If you don't have access,
the first
to
episode
Hulu Plus,
is good, Dan.
All right.
But
if you don't have access to Hulu Plus, buying it is probably worthwhile. I mean, it's the beginning of the entire 50 plus years now, so it's definitely a good one to own if you're thinking of buying it.
So definitely please go, obviously watch it and listen to our show, but if you like this show, subscribe to it on iTunes. That has some kind of meaning, whether it's just our own personal satisfaction of not talking into the abyss. Leave us a rating. That's also good. And very important, if you're going to be part of this whole journey that we're on, go to that news page that we have, because we do have that list, and we're open to changing it if there's something that you think we're missing that's like very important. Just let us know. You can put a comment or you can email us. We have an email now, theoldoctorwhoshow@gmail.com. We're both on Twitter. I'm at eGrissom.
And I'm at DanJNJ.
And the dog's at...
Dogs that barking and ruining podcasts.
Bonetown. I'm terribly sorry. Bonetown is a whole other thing that I run, and I do it for money.
For charity, I think.
yeah, charity. You got anything else? Dan's thumbs up for podcast fans. All right. Well, thank you for listening, and keep on dreaming. I'm working on. I think we need some kind of like outgoing thing. So I'm right now.
What I think we ought to do is just talk through it and just kind of fade the whole way out.
Keep your feet on the ground and keep dreaming for the good times.
No, I think it was pretty good. That was
pretty
tight.
good. I think it's pretty good. It is. I'm really good at this. Like that's the thing that I was find so amazing. Like I never did a podcast before. I'm like, am I going to be very good at it?
It turns out it doesn't show. You're a natural.
It turns out I'm really good at this.
Really good. Really good.
So yeah, that's it. We hope to talk to you people soon. Somehow.
All right.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.